Yeah, okay. I like to do things the way I do things.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
But this
is not the Youngs.
Is not the Youngs. This is Maureen. Hi.
Hi.
How
Thanks for
are
having
you?
me.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you tell our
Who
people
are you?
who you are?
Oh, better question. My name's Maureen. Maureen Renee is how I stylize it, but I am a luxury event planner and wedding designer out of St. Louis, Missouri, but traveling everywhere, wherever they'll take me.
Ooh, same.
Yeah.
And also,
Take me places.
Yes,
yeah,
please
take
me.
us places. Take us
Yeah.
places together. Actually, that
Oh
would
my
be
God,
amazing.
that would be great.
Yeah,
I would love that.
She is super talented, guys. We've had the honor of working with her before, and she's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
On the backs of my really great clients too. They always make it we had really good clients, our group that we had together. So,
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
that was-
yeah, it was epic.
yeah, they were so
Details on
sweet.
that wedding.
Oh,
Yeah. Well,
was
and just the
insane.
clients were just so sweet.
Oh,
Oh, they
yeah.
were so sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good.
They were really cute.
That was
Well-
that by nature, yeah.
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 Details were also very, very good though.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you. Yes.
Okay, so today we are talking about wedding icks, and I think it's like all-encompassing wedding day icks, wedding industry icks, and we
From
have
the client and vendor perspectives.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and we have several, but I think that you got like a lot.
Oh my God. I just on a whim, I was like, okay, I'm going to go on Instagram and just post like, okay, does anybody have any icks that they want to let me know about?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, everyone has icks. And I guess this is
It's a hot topic.
hot topic. People
Yeah.
were ripe and ready to let me know their
I
icks. So-
love that. So let's go ahead and preface this by saying we are not trying to hurt some fifis here. We're not trying to upset anyone. This is all in good fun. We are being honest.
Yes.
But it's just our personal preference and obviously what people sent in to us. So I think some of these, whether we agree or disagree, we'll probably chat about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be a super interesting, fun podcast.
No one, this is a disclaimer of like, I don't think anyone should take these all that seriously. If
Yeah.
you've done them before, that's okay. It
Not
doesn't make
all
your
of
wedding
them.
bad. Yet if you did all of them at
Maybe
one
your wedding might be bad.
maybe like don't ask for feedback on your wedding. But no, if you did a few of these, like I think it's okay. Like
Yeah.
that's all right. Things happen. You know, times change, and you know this is just something that nowadays I think people are ready
Yeah.
to tell the true tea of weddings.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
if
what
you
we're gonna do today.
are planning some of
Yes.
these, it doesn't mean it's a mistake.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It can be done well.
It can be done well.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, you heard there's a podcast about this whole thing. We planned an entire ick wedding.
We literally, yes.
You're like,
we got
insert
married.
photos of our wedding here. Like,
We did a whole podcast on it.
Yeah, we did. It was
right.
a huge ick wedding.
The
Oh my
band and
gosh.
the DJ were like the best two things.
Yeah. Whew.
Well, hey, that's
had both.
that's usually ranked very high for my clients.
We
like
should show you our
music
wedding
entertainment.
photos when we're done.
Oh, I would love to see
It's
that.
bad.
It's bad.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
like the
Wait, what
Irish
year did you
flag.
guys get married?
2014.
2014.
Oh, well, that
so
was
baby's breath,
that
our
was a
favorite
rough year.
colors as our wedding colors. Like, what?
And they only work in Ireland.
Yeah, orange and green.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just mhm.
Oops.
It's bad.
Are you guys even Irish? No.
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 I might be like 10%.
Wow.
Like, I don't even
You're like,
know.
but that's what I'm committed to. I'm committed to clovers, and that's what I'm committed to. Well,
Oh my gosh. So
We're
I'm
feeling
excited
lucky.
to see it.
okay. Do you wanna go first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, so I think, we were gonna start kind of like high picture. So this is like wedding industry sort of, the wedding industry, I think it's a bad rap sometimes. So
For sure.
we definitely got some, I would say, hot takes on the general wedding industry that were
Yes.
submitted to both of us. One of which is this concept of people charging more because it's a wedding versus it being some other social event.
Yeah.
And that's a huge ick for, I guess, brides and just people in general that are reaching
Yeah.
out to wedding vendors, which, I do think that's a rumor that kind of goes around the circuit. I see it on TikTok. I see it
Yeah.
everywhere of like, just inquire and don't say it's a wedding and see if the pricing is
Yeah.
different. And I even have been price shopped that way before.
Yeah.
So I think that can definitely be something that people keep in mind. But I mean, you guys tell me if you agree, but I don't think that happens as often as people think that it does. And I could see where it would ick you out if it was that way, but I don't think it
Yeah.
happens all the time.
I mean, in my position, I actually charge more for corporate work because
Yeah.
they're being used for marketing.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
Like
when
in
you
perpetuity, they can use
Right.
that
Yeah.
for
and
their
they're usually
marketing.
like for wedding stuff, we don't usually give them the rights to raw
Absolutely.
footage, but for corporate stuff, they get the rights because they want to be able to use it for anything they want to use it for.
So there and of itself, it's going to be more expensive.
And
Absolutely.
it's like when you get the rights for music for weddings, we pay significantly less for the rights for weddings than we do for corporate work. And even
Sure.
with that, they charge more depending on where it's going to be seen and how many people are going to see it.
True.
Yeah, because
True.
if it's on like national television, it's going to be more expensive.
The licensing is going to
Yeah.
be much
Yeah.
higher than if it was.
So therefore, we charge more for that because of what you're getting.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like a wedding photographer perspective, there's a lot more that goes into photographing a wedding than there is
Absolutely.
to photographing a birthday party or
A baby shower, yeah.
a corporate event. You know, I juggle emotional stuff.
Emotions are high.
On wedding days, I'm quite literally putting out fires once upon a time.
Literally.
When the candles fall,
yeah,
someone
so-
needs to be there.
But seriously,
True story.
like so for me, I'm probably charging more for a wedding just because there's a lot more
Absolutely.
going into it. And I would say it also just depends on what the event is. You know, it just depends, honestly.
Yeah, and I think from a planner's perspective, there is a totally different ballgame when you're pricing a wedding versus pricing a corporate event versus a social event, which would encompass all the things we just mentioned, birthday parties.
Yeah, I mean, like
you know.
on a birthday party, I might deliver, depending on how long I'm there, but I might deliver like 300 images. And when I'm pricing for things, I'm not just pricing my day of because I'm editing all the
Right. You have
photos,
editing time,
I'm doing
yeah.
meetings and things like that. All of that is incorporated into my pricing. It's not just when you physically see me on the day.
Absolutely.
So my pricing, you know, it incorporates me editing 3,000 images as well, which is going to be higher than 300.
Well, and I think the emotionality piece, if that's a word, emotional.
We'll make
piece,
it a word.
Yeah, we'll make it a word.
It's a word. Webster, add this.
Is the most important part of the pricing that's missing
Yeah.
is that, well, if you didn't capture that one moment at the birthday party, you're
That's
going to have
okay.
a birthday next year. So we can capture it. We can do this again next year. But if you're at a wedding and you miss that first kiss or you miss the moment that they do the cake exchange or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
you can't really, I mean,
Redo
yes,
that.
you can redo it.
Yeah.
And we have done that before, you know,
Right.
where it's like, okay, let's stop and redo that moment.
But
If
that
we-
is like the
that's
like
so
least
talk about an
ideal.
ick. That is an ick to me.
Yes,
That is an
yes.
ick to me. Like somebody starts doing their first dance and they're like, hold on.
Ooh, I have another one.
We gotta do it
done.
again. You know what I mean?
It's along the lines
Yeah.
of that. I've heard of it done. I've literally, honestly, thank God I've never witnessed it. Redoing the first look.
Oh no.
I've heard of it, you know, thankful for the.
Well, I hope they
haven't
gave
we had to do-
Oscar
haven't-
award-winning performances.
Haven't we had to redo that? Haven't we had to do that before?
Where we were just like either photo or video
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
And yes.
was,
I remember. It was at,
Haw Valley?
no, Chandler Hill.
Oh, you're right.
So you're okay. So let's clear this up for the viewers. So when you do a first look, obviously it's supposed to be the most emotional moment
And
of the
we
day.
want it organic.
Completely
organic moment. It's the first time that our couple is seeing each other. They're going to turn around, see their first look of not only just like all the beautiful gowns and suits and all of that stuff, but it also usually like our clients will want to maybe exchange personal vows at that time, especially if they're doing a more religious ceremony. That can be a time to do that, or they just kind of just hang out for a couple minutes, have a drink, a toast, whatever. So if we had to redo that moment, I would be like, okay, so all right,
All the
dry the
emotion's gone.
tears and then turn around and act like you did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Oh, man.
Every time I see somebody talk about that on any of the Facebook groups, I'm just like, oh, why?
And that, going back to what we were originally talking about, that's a lot of pressure. So like
So
you're
much,
holding a
yeah.
lot of pressure. And it sounds weird to say that that's like a cost factor, but like it's just something that we know is much more valuable in general than just like shooting anything like corporate or parties or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to tangible items, I don't see that happening in the industry very often where,
Yeah.
okay, we put the word wedding, so now your glassware is double the cost. That's not really what happens. So
Yeah.
I think this is like a rumor, an ick that probably many people think they have, but if they were kind of in the know, I think they would
Yeah.
realize that doesn't really happen as
Yeah.
often as they think it does. So
For sure.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I
Yes.
like that one.
Good one.
Okay. This one is a little spicy. So I got questions as well. Or not questions, but like I put up the question box and I got people that put in their stuff as well. And one of them was community, but really it's just clicks, or the community over competition, quote unquote.
Well, I personally have a lot of thoughts about the community versus competition stand. Here's my thing. That gives me the ick because most of the time it's very disingenuous. I don't believe at the end of the day, I am friends with so many planners in this industry. I have planners that technically, yes, are my competition, but if I fall on a wedding weekend where I know I have, even the wedding we worked together, where I knew that I needed more staff. I just needed really high quality, knowledgeable staff. And especially, I think anyone in the wedding industry will tell you, and the service industry, it's really tough to find people that are knowledgeable, that have weekend availability, that can show up and like be there.
And that you can rely on.
That you can rely on. So I rely on a lot of planners in the industry, and I think we all do that together. So to me, that is the community of really saying like, absolutely, you need a knowledgeable person. I don't have a wedding that weekend. I can come work for your team. That's true community. So and I don't think a lot of people think about it that way. They think about it more of the like
best friends,
fake ass Instagram comments of like, good job, girl, that looked great. It's like, well, that's not really like community if in reality you're, sort of bad mouthing them in some other instance or like pulling business away. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all business owners.
Yeah.
We're all going off after the same.
We're all going off after the same pool, right? I mean, so I've always said, like, what's going to sell me to my clients is my authenticity, my work, and they have to like me. Yeah. I mean, I always tell my clients, like, this has to be a fit for both of us. You have to hang out with me for the next year.
That's like why we require meetings. It's like,
absolutely,
you might love us, but the truth is we might not feel like we're the best fit for you.
Right.
And where the community comes in is our best interest, obviously we need to make money, we need to pay our bills, but our best interest is the client. So we want to have people that we know and trust. If we feel like we're not the best fit, that we have people in our community that we love
and can rely on.
And we can rely on them, and we know that they can do great work, and we can recommend them.
Like, hey, we don't think we're the best fit, but so-and-so, I think you guys would get along really well. And like, I don't dislike anyone in this industry.
Right.
Just, I don't necessarily have time to be really good buddy friends with everyone.
I mean, I think that's the piece that gives me the ick is guys, I don't have enough hours in the day to network with 700 people in this industry. I just don't.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that it's like, oh, I'm anti-community because I don't want, but I feel like you have to be realistic about, what does that really mean to you? Like community to me is just supporting, our vendors, coming to networking events, being involved in the actual local scene here and like elevating, for us, the St. Louis market, and I would argue, the Midwest market, and just really elevating that to be in competition with the coastal market, right? I mean, so the only way we're going to do that is through like actual connections with people and not like, like I said, like fake ass Instagram comments.
Our best friends are a husband and wife photo video company.
Right.
It doesn't get any more competition than that.
Right.
And we have the same style.
Right.
So like, well, sort of, but it's pretty close. But it doesn't get any closer than that.
Right. And really like branching back to the community and I think community versus being best friends type thing is, it's community if I can call somebody who I literally never speak to and say, hey, I need a third videographer.
Absolutely.
Can you come in for half of a wedding day and shoot? That happened this year.
Yeah.
It's,
it happened last year.
This last year. I don't even know what day it is.
It's first quarter. It's like
it's weird because we live our life 1 year ahead. That's
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, hey, my second shooter isn't available.
Absolutely.
We never worked together, but do you want to work with me this week? Or hey, can I borrow your drone? Because mine's getting worked on.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, I think that happens too. I mean, I would argue too, for me, community is also knowing that there's only so many planners in the industry that can take on weddings in a weekend. If I'm booked a weekend, that's it. That's my whole weekend. That's my inventory, right? So if I have a really great client come to me and I'm already booked, I want to be able to have an actual community of people that I trust, because that is also my reputation on the line. If I turn around and recommend that client to someone, that's why I love to have other planners come work my weddings, because then I can say, yeah, I've worked with them and they really know their stuff, and they're great, and they're, you know, kind, and they understand the industry, they have the experience. So I can turn and say, no, here's who I'd actually recommend. And it's not, you know, to me, that's not competition. I want that to happen to me too.
Yeah.
If I have other, you know, wedding planners who say, oh, I want to use, you know, I'm booked, but I'd love for you to use Maureen. She's great, right? So, you know, that's like true community,
like genuine,
to me.
genuine support.
Yes.
This could be its own podcast episode.
It really could.
Right.
It really could.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's certain parts of that like I see when somebody just says very like laissez-faire, like, oh, community over competition. I'm just like, do you even really like
know what that means?
That's what icks me out about it is,
same.
you know, is that sort of like, I think people just say that because it's buzzy.
Yes.
And it's like a really easy thing to, it's like girl boss, right? Like, oh, community over your company.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like girl boss.
And I don't like that either.
Yeah. I should have put that on I should have put that on our other podcast about things that should just go away. The term girl boss.
Oh my gosh, I used to have the book. I mean, I used to
Anybody
have the book.
can be a boss, okay? It doesn't matter if you're a girl. Alex is a boss. He's a
I'm
boy
raising
boss.
my hand for those that are listening.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. No, so that's a good one.
All right, Maureen, what else you got?
Okay, so I feel like those are some of the ones that were like industry wide.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we love this industry. I'm sure we could offline come up with some more industry icks.
Yes.
But I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about more specifically our industry, like our niche in the industry. So obviously I'm a planner, designer. So I'm going to focus on some of those first, and then we'll get into like some photo video ones.
Yes.
I think would be fun. So one of the ones, and this is just a personal one for me, and I would ick myself out. Like the day that I get engaged, I have too many friends. You know, that's why I said I don't have time for all these networking events. I have too many friends. So one of my biggest icks is large wedding parties.
Oh, okay.
And it's really, and when I say large, people are going to say, well, that's really vague. What do you mean when you say large? 5 or more.
Okay.
Anything that's like 5
on each side.
On each side.
Okay.
On each
so
side.
like 10.
What's the most you've had? I'm curious.
14 bridesmaids.
Oof, that beats us.
Like 10 groomsmen.
Wait, does it?
I think we were at 12 each side.
It was 14
yeah.
bridesmaids, 10 groomsmen, like 4-ish ushers, which made up the
Did they want the ushers in every single?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and all the
naturally.
things.
Got it.
And then they had the, you know, the kiddos, and then, you know, there was like a junior bridesmaid, and then, you know, so by the time, now, the reason this is an ick for a planner, and is just because from a timeline perspective, like starting in the morning, like I think people forget, like, you know, you guys all have to get glam. I mean, we're talking about, and I don't care if you got the Kardashians
And it doesn't
glam
take
team
5
in there.
minutes.
It takes a whole, I mean, we're talking 40 minutes for hair, let alone if you have my hair, you know, an hour for hair, hour for makeup, you know.
Per person.
Per person.
So we're talking like 2.5 per person.
Of course you can have, you know, 5 artists, but this all adds up.
Money.
So this is what we're talking about when budget is something that might be a concern or something that you're trying to really keep, you know, on the lower end. That is like the first thing I tell my clients if they come to me and they say, how do I like get this budget down? I say, well, hair and makeup, like let's cut how many people do you really, I mean, do you, how close are you with these girls? Like, let's, you know, come on now. Do we need every girl in your sorority to be, you know, they can have them be a reader at the ceremony or something. There's other things that they could do. Plus, then, of course, which I'm sure you guys will chime in on, like, photo-wise, but, you know, it's just a matter of, like, how do I get a bus to fit all these people? You know, there's only, so now we're talking about a party bus that usually maxes out around, like, 30, 32 people. And again, you can get bigger ones, but we're talking more money.
And then you talk about the companies like this last year, there were several that had a couple of their biggest buses were down for like 3 months.
Absolutely.
Because they couldn't get the part.
And you have to consider, well, where is our venue? What is our venue? If we're at like a private estate with like a turnaround driveway that's like a tight turn, and I'm having
we've had weddings where like
they back all the way down.
Quite literally, the bus can't fit down certain streets, and like because they're picking up sometimes, depending on the timeline, from like houses and neighborhoods, and like these big ass buses can't literally
like
fit down the
residential
street.
streets. You know, we're talking like a 50-person party bus. Like this is not, you know, so to me, it's always better to err on the side of who do I have to have there? Who can I, and again, I'm speaking to myself because I know exactly. I already know, like, I would have 10 bridesmaids. So I'm trying to tell myself that this is what I would need to do. So I would need to find other roles. You know what I mean? Just find other roles.
And that's a good alternative.
Or, you know, it's really trending right now to just have no wedding party at all. So
I was going to say that popped in my head. Some of my favorite weddings that we've done in the last, especially since COVID.
Oh, absolutely,
were ones that had either no wedding party
or like one or two
best
on
man,
each
maid of
side or
honor,
something. Yep.
and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
I love that.
I agree with you.
As you know, I personally don't. I guess I do have a preference, but it's really not like that big of a
You
deal.
prefer not to shoot on a fisheye lens.
Well,
Right, because you have that many people and you're all lined up. I mean,
yeah. For my photographers listening, I shoot prime lenses only, so I'm not gonna pull out a 24 to 70 and shoot 24. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So I need to make sure that I have room and space to shoot a 30-person wedding party.
Right.
And
With a 35.
you better get the sorority squad ready because we're like getting them.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Or
Yeah.
chairs or something. And
Yeah.
all of that stuff takes time. So like we have to make sure that we have more time in the timeline. But that's one of the questions I always ask my couple is how many wedding party members do you have? And if it's short, I know that I don't need as much time for wedding photos.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you just also, I've obviously, like you asked me what's the biggest party you've had. I've also had people who had just one on either side, and I see the difference in their calmness level that day.
I feel like it's a very personal decision, because if you are a chill person, you want chill vibes, go for the smaller wedding party. If you are a partier and you want to like get lit and you have a dozen friends,
Right.
and you have the budget and the time.
Yes, if all of those things are, that's where it's like this can be different for every person, because if those things aren't a worry to you at all, then this would not be an ick. It would be like, well, good for you. I mean, you got unlimited budget. We can do all day for hair and makeup. Let's go. You know. So I think that's definitely one that's high on my list.
Yeah, for sure.
And then talking about more sort of like planner, designer sort of world. One of the things is like chair covers is just a huge ick for me. I know it's like very late 90s, early 2000s, but they're very like oddly having a resurgence. And it's like the spandex covers that are coming back. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, maybe we'll like, put a photo up of one, but it's just like, why is that coming back? I don't understand. Yeah. It's like in some of these, I would even argue like Miami. Like if you look at like the Miami market right now, it's just like white, chair cover. It's so bizarre to me. I'm like, why? It's not cute. No chair cover.
For like outdoor too?
Yes.
Oh,
outdoor and indoor.
Now look, from a visual perspective, I love that we have these two perspectives. From a visual perspective, that's not cute.
It's not cute.
It's
not cute. And I would argue, as from a guest, I don't want to sit on it. It's slidey.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Staticky if it's in the winter.
Yeah, it's bad. So, and I understand some ballroom chairs like leave a lot to be desired. I understand that. If you have the budget, get different chairs. Yeah. Get different chairs. That's just what I would do. Now, I have had clients where we can adorn the chairs with certain things, like a Chiavari chair. You can, weave some beautiful fabric. You can do some more ethereal touches that can, elevate it. Yeah. But I wouldn't consider that a chair cover, you know, where
that's like a chair accent.
Chair decor.
Accent. That's like chair earrings. You know what I mean? Like that's something different. But I really, the like old school. And when I've been seeing these spandex ones coming back, I'm like, no, why is this
Did we have
happening?
chair covers at our wedding?
Oh my God.
We had whatever the venue put out, so I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Oh, this sounds like a chair cover. No.
Honestly, I would be surprised.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe we did.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Not to knock on the venue, but it was more of an event space than a venue.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, probably had chair
have to
covers,
go back and
but
look.
I'd have to look at the pictures because honestly,
we don't look at them enough to remember.
We're gonna have to link that podcast in this because we've referenced our wedding several
enough
times.
times. So you're like, okay, we have to do this. Okay, so this is just like, maybe we're getting into more just my personal icks, is wedding party entrances to like individual songs. As a planner, this also is a planner.
Like they change it for each person? Not each couple?
Each couple, I guess. Okay. Like each couple that comes in, which again, if you have a wedding party of 14 people,
that's a lot.
14 couples, that's just a lot of songs.
Yeah.
So again, your band, your DJ, whoever's on entertainment, me as your planner, I'm there on site overseeing all that, conducting all of that, and it's a lot of song transitions, and you don't have DJ Khaled up on the ones and twos.
So much room for error too.
So much room for error.
But if you do, hire me.
Yeah, if you do. If you are getting DJ Khaled, please call me. Yeah. Okay? But, really, ultimately, I think it's better at these days. I know most of my clients are cutting it all together. Yeah. They don't even do a wedding party entrance. They do just themselves. I think it's much more classic.
Now, how do you feel about team bride, team groom?
Meaning like all girls come in.
Yeah.
I don't mind that as much. I think that's what my, caveat to all of that would be if you do like a group entrance of all 10 of them or, the girls side, guy side. That's fine. That doesn't bother me as much because it's a little bit also as a guest, like no one cares. Yeah. I'm sorry. No one, they already have the program. They already saw who these people are. They know they're at the head table or they're at the VIP tables. Yeah. They're going to come up and talk to them later. Half the time, it's like, you can't hear it anyway. So I would rather it just be like, everybody get on their feet, the wedding party. Everyone comes in, you have like T.I. bring them out. Everyone's like, partying. That's it.
And the wedding party throws out bush lights and fireball shots. And
okay, again, are you talking about my wedding?
No, we actually had one of those too.
We had one that did that, and I thought it was epic.
Exactly. It was so cool.
And it was the whole wedding party, and it was really fun. I really liked it.
I just think it's easier. Plus, then also, I think what happens when you do the individual couples is then the couples feel a lot of pressure to come up with like a fun dance or like a fun thing, and then they're spending like so much time trying to get their entrance right, and it's like, guys, it doesn't matter.
I can't remember how many times I've gone out there and the DJ.
That was our wedding day.
Yes,
he was so stressing.
He was so stressed about that. He was like, guys, what are we gonna do? I'm like,
oh my God, the whole cocktail hour, the poor kid. I was like, Hunter, it's okay. It's okay, buddy. Like, you're going to do great.
And he killed it.
He killed it. He killed it. He killed it.
He did.
But so I think just like keep it easy on everybody. It's just like either do a big mass entrance or keep it simple and just have, the couple come in. That's your moment anyway. It's your party. Yeah. So I don't know.
I like that.
And it's probably less to photograph too. Less to like jump around and get all that.
From the DJ's perspective, because I don't know if you know this. I actually used to DJ weddings. Like,
oh my gosh,
long time
That doesn't
ago.
Surprise me though. You have like the voice for. I could see it. I hated
him singing though.
Oh, see, I always get asked to MC. It's like we could have been a tag team duo.
I sold all my stuff. I'm sorry.
My God, he's like, I'm not doing it.
But I always hated having to line everybody up, making sure the names were pronounced right. Because sometimes you get those
first
names,
and last names,
and you're like, say that again. I just do not, and then I forget, and I'm like, I'm gonna mess this up.
Well, and as a planner, I mean, that is something we do, for our clients is we do a pronunciation guide for all of our entertainment.
Awesome.
Yeah. We do. We're phonetic spellings of everything and we confirm it. I do like
Maureen,
voice
that's
notes.
Amazing.
I know. I do like voice notes with my brides. Like, am I pronouncing like everybody's name correctly?
That's awesome.
So now that's all great. But again, you're at the mercy of the entertainment company that night who's going to like pay enough attention to sit. And that's why we always recommend certain vendors because we trust them. We know that they actually read my phonetic, pronunciation guide. But again, it's just so much easier if you just say the wedding party and then, everybody's name's
and you're done. And you can
butchered.
Drink faster and eat faster.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's the biggest goal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so while we're talking about like entertainment / like, those kind of things, one of the most popular responses that I got in my like question box or response box was bouquet and garter tosses. And it was like, it was very interesting to me because, I started doing weddings back in 2011, 12. So, I've been doing it long enough that I've kind of seen the trends ebb and flow. Mm-hmm. When I first started doing weddings, it was at every wedding. Yeah. Every wedding. It was like no questions asked. We're doing a bouquet and a garter toss. Yep. I've had to watch a garter be ripped off to ride my pony. I can't tell you how many times. So, genuine. Yeah. But, then it like hit a wall where it was like no one did it. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden it was like, oh, we're not doing that. Somebody must have like read an article and said, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. And now I've seen a weird resurgence of it coming back where a couple of my, weddings over the last year or two post-COVID have like decided to do at least a bouquet toss.
I wonder if it's like because of just how like social media has grown with TikTok and stuff like that. Yeah,
I agree.
It's become one of those trends, and
people are posting it.
Do it.
Yeah, and they think it's like fun.
Yeah,
I would say the garter toss kind of does ick me out sometimes. Yeah, and it's really more about just like what song are you choosing?
Oh, okay, you have to stop doing that.
I know, sorry. You need to. I want to see. You might have this one.
But to me, of the two, again, to make sure we're not like alienating everybody. If you're gonna pick one, do the bouquet toss. Mm-hmm. I think that can be really fun. But I also think you don't these days, like if you're throwing some traditions out the window, I don't think you have to only do your single friends. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's really just all about the fun, jump, catch the bouquet. I get that it's supposed to be like, well, you're next or whatever.
Right.
I get that. But I think the married people want to participate too. Like they just want to come out there and have fun. And like, you know, if it's a fun song, it doesn't have to be single ladies. Like it could be anything. It's just well wishes. I think it's like a good luck charm more than it has to be.
And most of the time guys don't want to do it in the first place.
Right. So, and they're all at the bar. So like, don't worry about it. I would say if you're going to keep one, keep bouquet, lose the garter, because it's usually kind of odd. And the songs are sometimes tough. Like, I don't feel like there's a good song you there's not one that like comes to mind that I'm like, killer garter song.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I would say it's hit or miss for us. I think most of the time we don't have either. Our couples don't do either more often than not.
Yeah.
You know, when COVID was a thing, it didn't happen at all.
Oh, absolutely.
It didn't happen at all.
Right.
But I would say between 2017 and 2019, it was every wedding. Both of them at every wedding. And now it's just like really not that much at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it might ick people out enough that they just stop doing it. I don't know. But that was a lot.
Possible.
What was the one you were going to say?
We were talking about like the trends. And I know we talked earlier and you have like table touches on yours, I think, right? That brought me to the trend that we did recently, and we've been asked to do it before, but we've kind of like steered them away from it. It's
I can't believe I forgot about this.
It's like the DJ plays a song or two songs, and the photographer goes around and runs to all these tables and takes a picture with the couple with every single table.
Absolutely not.
It is awful.
It's horrible.
No.
Listen, I've done this for some of my clients. I love you very, 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 very much, and I would do it for you because I love you. For my future clients, don't make me do it.
Right.
Please.
Is it because in their minds they're thinking like, okay, then I have a photo with every table?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they want to do it in that like round robin 2 songs?
Yes.
Oh, that's tough.
I think that...
But even not doing it that way is tough because we've done it where they just want a picture with all the people. But guess when we have to do that?
During our meal.
During dinner when everybody's eating, and guess who else is eating?
The vendors.
Us.
Yeah.
So we either don't eat or we don't do it.
Just like I have yet to see, and here's why. I understand that like the clients want a photo with every single person. I get that if that's what you want. I understand. But the timeline is really where it becomes an issue because we are just not going to be there for that amount of time when everyone is seated. Because there is a very short amount of time during a reception when everyone is in their chair. It's during speeches and dinner.
And we're doing other things.
And during speeches, I'm capturing your speeches. And during dinner, I'm eating dinner.
Yeah.
So I either don't eat dinner or something gets missed because you want something else.
And I mean, in this day and age, I just think with the advent of people being able that have, 4K cameras in their pockets, I don't, which you're going to probably say it's not really technically 4K or whatever that, but you know what I mean? High res. We have high res, powerful cameras in our pocket. Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, like I'd rather see them have one of their really nice friends go around and do that during dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like put that on, like a bridesmaid or something where, hey, you guys are going to go around and do the table touches. I'll follow around and take a really nice photo. Yeah. That would be honestly much easier. And you probably want that for social media anyway.
You're not going to post it on you're not going to print that out and put on your wall.
And this is what I always tell my clients with any photos that they, which I'm sure shot list is probably on your ick list as well. Because at the end of the day, what are the photos you're going to hang in your house, guys?
Right.
Let's prioritize.
Exactly.
What photos are you going to hang in the house? Are you going to hang in the house the photo of like your third cousins at the altar with No. Yeah. No, you're not. And then a bunch of girlfriends that they brought that they're not going to be with in a year. No, you're not going to hang that photo. And so don't waste the time.
From a technicality perspective, and we only know this because we've done it. When you have a beautiful, elaborate centerpiece, that's tall. I can't have the bride and the groom or the couple just stand behind the table.
No, there's a huge shadow.
I mean, or the centerpiece is quite literally covering people, which means we have to go to a different side of the table. And I'm maybe taking 3 photos of different angles of one table.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a lot. It's hard.
It's just too much.
It's not as easy as what it sounds.
Then people start talking and then it slows
let's also
the
factor these
process
people are
way
drunk.
down.
I mean, when we did
People are
this,
drinking,
I felt so bad because I had to be like, guys, we have to go to the next table. And I don't want to be that assertive. Like, I don't want to cut off conversations because I know that those are the ones that are important and should be had. But like when we're doing something like this, we're on such a short time crunch that there's no times for, oh my gosh, give me a hug. I like loved what you did last week, or, you know, whatever, blah, blah. Like there's no time.
Yeah. You're like, sorry, I'm a traveling photo studio.
And I'm the bad guy. And I'm the bad guy. And I don't like that. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And I think that gets into which we got varying responses in our ick list that people sent. There was a couple of people who sent in that it was an ick for them for people to go around, the couples to go around and do those table touches.
Yeah.
And when we say table touches, we mean going to each table during cocktail or after cocktail hour, like in the reception, going around and saying hi to every table. Some people wrote in that they thought that is an ick because they think it's like weird conversation.
So it's interesting to see both sides.
Yeah, that it's like forced conversation, which I get that. I've been guests at weddings, obviously, where the bride and groom do that. And I do sometimes feel like it's like a fake conversation. You're like, oh, hey, you look beautiful. I would have been better to have this conversation on the dance floor, right? Where it's more organic.
Yeah.
And then I had other people that wrote in and said that, you know, it's an ick when people don't do that because they've come to this wedding. They may not get another opportunity to talk to you. So it is kind of icky if you go to someone's wedding and then don't even get to talk to the bride and groom.
That's interesting. I have a couple of things in my mind that are thinking about that. I wonder if it's a generational thing.
Absolutely.
100%.
And two, if you are a guest at a wedding and you feel like you should get an opportunity to talk to them, I feel like you also need to understand that they are very busy.
So busy.
If you want to talk to them, you go talk to them.
The onus is on the guests, I do believe.
If you're on the guest list, they are going to want to talk to you. You just have to approach it and make it happen.
Right.
Because otherwise, they got other shit going on.
Right. This isn't a networking dinner where it's like, you need to.
They would be more than
it's
happy
on
to
the
talk
guest.
to you.
Yeah.
You just have to go do it.
And I know I've had couples who that is like one of the things they're most anxious about, especially when they have really high guest counts. You know, if we're dealing with 300, 250, 300 guests, that's a lot of people to talk to. I mean, you do the math. You have a 2-minute conversation with each of those people. That's 500 minutes divided by. That's a long time.
That's fast math.
Thank you.
Are you good at math?
Yeah, I'm like Matilda.
I'm terrible.
I'm
terrible at math.
You do magic?
That's like really fast math. I'm very impressed.
She can make things float.
Exactly. I wish. What if your Stanley Cup just like came over? I would die.
Stanley sponsor us.
Stanley sponsored. But no, so I've had clients that are so anxious about that. Anxious about how am I going to talk to everyone? How am I going to talk to everyone?
If I was getting married again, I would not do it because I am an anxious girly.
Yeah.
We also have a much lower guest count though too.
Absolutely.
Just in general, like I'm not.
Right.
That's a no for me.
Right. Maybe that should be another ick personally as a planner. Anything over like 250, you aren't going to be able to talk to those people.
Right.
You're just not. So I think that for guest count, one of the rules of thumbs I always tell my clients is when they're like, how do I cut my guest list down? I don't know. I always say, would you go out to dinner with that person one-on-one? And if they didn't offer to pick up the tab and you put your credit card down, would you get in the car and text your friend and be like, that was such bullshit. They didn't even offer to pay.
Oh, that's good.
Interesting.
If you would have that feeling of like, they didn't even offer to pay, then you probably shouldn't invite them to your wedding. To be honest, because that's what you're doing.
Because you're paying for their food.
You're paying for their food. You're paying for their whole experience. And it has to be a really like selfless thing of like, I just want you in the room so badly. Because if you take, the way we as planners, figure out a budget, it really doesn't have much to do with what's your top out number because it's really focused on how many guests are you inviting.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we take that big all-in number, divide it by the number of people in that room, and I don't want to do any more quick math, but you get the point. You would have whatever that number is. It can range from $500 a person to $10,000 a person to have that person in the room.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, if you weren't willing to like go out to dinner with that person one-on-one and pick up the tab and not feel any type of way about it because it would come back to you. Like that's how I am with my friends. If we go out to dinner and I'm able to, I'm like, well, I get this one or I'll get your drink this time because I know they're going to get me back, right?
Yeah.
So I always tell my clients that, like if you're going through your guest list and going, ooh, I wouldn't feel good about like picking up their tab.
That's a really good insight.
I just think that that's how you cut it. And if you have that feeling, then they probably should not make the list.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
what I always tell my clients. Yeah.
I like that. Okay, all right, guys. We have so much on our list, so we're gonna go ahead and stop chatting right now and come back with a part 2. So make sure that you check that out, okay?
See ya in part 2.
Peace.